I want to show you how to create material variations, even using maps, modifying the maps. But you don't have to use Photoshop for that. You can do it here in the material editor, and I want to show you that. For example, if I want to turn this brick into a white one, how would I do that? I could, for example, clone this and name it Color Variation 2. Here in Diffuse, I think I'm gonna show in Slate, so it's easier to explain. There are the link's ramifications here. And there's something called Corona Color Correct, which is very nice, because it makes color correction in any map you want. It helps a lot. For example, I will link Corona Mix to Color Correct's input, and I will put right here in the middle, between everything we did and this one. And it has some properties here. For example, saturation. I want it desaturated, so I'm gonna set to -1. Take a look. It's completely changed. If I render it, actually I'm gonna apply the material. It's applied already. Cool. If I go to render, look, I have a white brick material. And I did it all using Corona Color Correct. If I don't want it white, I will set the saturation back to 0. And gamma, glossiness, contrast. Gamma, for example, I'm gonna lighten it up here. 1.2. Okay. But you can change its glossiness to 0.5, 0.1. So, there's glossiness, contrast, gamma, temperature. There are many things you can do. For example, saturation is 0. But I want it to be a little bit darker. I will set gamma to 0.8, 0.7. You can test it. Glossiness, I will set to -0.1. It's a little darker. Go back to Corona Color Correction. Let's say I want to change contrast. It's not changing that much. But we can increase to 2. Saturation, I think it's too saturated. I will change a little to 0.2. And now, when we preview it, I can see another kind of brick, using maps and using color correction. That's very cool. If I want to have more brightness, I can change it here in Reflect Glossiness. I will delete this one and add a color correction here too. I will link to input and from here to glossiness, and then I'm gonna lighten it up. 1.5, 2, 3. It's getting glossier. I'm gonna preview to see. It's way glossier. I'm just adjusting my original map with the color correction, so it gets lighter. Do you remember that the whiter, the more strength, and dark is the opposite? So in glossiness, we can notice that the whiter, the more gloss. The less, the more opaque. In the reflection, is the same thing. I can use a color correction for reflection too, but I like to use it in glossiness because it changes with its variation. So you can make a lot of colors and brightness modification. You can do it all by using one color correction before the main map you are using. And these modifications are very important, because when creating the scene, you have, for example, a library that has a leather coat. It has already material that doesn't agree with the ambient. Sometimes The material doesn't match with the rest of the ambient, and you don't want another leather material. You just want to change its color. So you just add color correction and change it a little. Saturate or desaturate a little, make it lighter or darker, and make it go with all the rest of the scene. So you have this work done many times, till you have your scene exactly like you want. So that's a Corona color correction technique.